Good day, people. TR Shakti, and welcome to Bettery Hub channel, your weekly dose of transformative business ideas and solutions. Now, our Bettery Hub channel focuses on two master series, our professional series, which are usually on Tuesdays, and you're lucky, it's today, where we invite business leaders and professionals to understand their X factor and how you can apply to yourself and your business. Now, our business series where we uncover strategies to develop capabilities to transform your business. Now, I'm extremely thrilled to have Jerome Joseph as our guest today. Yes, he's also known as the brand guy. You will know in a while. And just a bit on Jerome before we bring him up live. Jerome Joseph is a CEO of a public listed brand agency and has led him to work with many of the biggest global brands around the world: Dell, Standard Chartered, BASF, and many, many more. Now, he's an award-winning global speaker on branding, and in 2018 was recognized as one of the top 30 global gurus worldwide. I say again, worldwide for brand. Right? He's the only Asian from Asia on the list of a best-selling author of 8 books. Trust me, I'm still working on my first book, and he has done 8 books, really inspiring. And the key thing is he has 22 years of experience and worked with 1,000 brands in 33 countries. Can you believe it? I mean, this is what this guy has done, right? And brings real life experience and global outlook for our today's chat. Now, Jerome is also a certified speaking professional, awarded to top 12% of speakers globally, and also a global speaking fellow for speakers who speak extensively globally. Now, to date, there are only less than 1% of speakers who have achieved this award. His favorite brands, good to say that it's my brand as well that I really love, is Liverpool Football Club and Singapore Airlines. Oh, this is interesting. And also his wife, Mila. Yes, I've talked to him and he said that it's specific instructions from his wife that should be his favorite brand. Now, let us invite our brand guy, Jerome Joseph, up. And with that, hello, Jerome.
Hi everyone. Glad to be here. I love what's called the Bettery Hub channel, like the name, right? So it's a play on better and battery, isn't it?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
Did I get it right? Oh, brilliant!
Yes, you got it right. Spot on, Jerome.
Cool name, very cool name, and very, very on brand.
Thank you. And hearing that from the brand guru itself, the brand guy, it's awesome. Definitely, and the good thing, Jerome, is that when we started Bettery Hub itself, or Bettery Lab itself, we were thinking, we wanted something about improvement as well as something where, a word that will tell us that we are consistently improving. And that's where Lab came about. Now, let's put Bettery Lab aside. Today is all about Jerome Joseph. All right, Jerome, there's one thing that I love is you are a brand lover specifically of the Liverpool Football Club, so I think that is awesome.
You might just lose a few fans, right, of this channel after making that statement.
No, but the key thing,
win the title.
No, but the key thing is this, it's not about just Liverpool or any other team, but it's about the love of the game, football. Yeah. So we'll move on. Now, thank you so much once again, Jerome, to be here amidst your busy schedule. I know you have things going on even after this live chat. So thank you. And I really would like to extend my appreciation on the behalf of all our viewers for this. And another thing is, Jerome, to all our viewers, you can engage Jerome with your questions through our Bettery Lab Facebook page. So please feel free to do that. And Jerome.
Yes.
It's great to have you. And now it's all about yourself. I had a whole list of things that I got to say. In fact, for the viewers, I got to tell you that I had to cut short a lot of things or information on Jerome because I would have been still talking about whatever he has achieved so far. So we let the man, the brand guy himself, talk about himself, the business, and the journey behind your current success, Jerome.
Sure. Well, it's been an amazing journey. I've always when I first started my career, this was in 1997. My mentor back then came to me and he said, "It's not about the destination; it's about the journey." And I never knew what that meant, until I got into that journey. And I've had my highs, I've had my lows, I've had successes, I've fallen flat on my face, I've had doors banged in my face. But you know what? Woohoo! What a ride, what a journey. And I'm so looking forward for the next 20, 30, 40 years of my life, right? Where I'm going to enjoy the journey just as much, because that's what this program is all about. It's business owners, it's entrepreneurs, it's executives that are going on this journey. And I love my journey. You should love yours as well.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, think about it. I always dream, to own a channel. But today I do. I have an own
There you
channel in
go.
social media. It's that's the whole
Today,
idea.
today Facebook, tomorrow the world.
Yeah. It's always about aspiring, right?
Exactly.
Aspire and one thing that I loved about my journey, and Jerome, I call experts like yourself. It's the passion. The
Sure.
passion behind what you're doing and the excitement every day you wake up employed, you got things to do, and you have the energy level. Like the last time when I called you yesterday, you were like having chats and webinars after webinars, online sessions, and today itself, after today's session, you're gonna have another 2 sessions and meetings.
Three,
Where
actually.
do you get 3? Wow. And where do you get that energy from?
Well, I mean, I am passionately obsessed about branding. I love what I do. I mean, of course, there are going to be tough days, especially now with the whole COVID situation. There are more tough days than there are pleasant days. But if you have this passion for what you do, which I do, I mean, I love branding, and that passion keeps me going. And that's important. In any business owner, you need to really believe in what you're selling, believe in your products and services. And when you have that belief, it translates into actions. So
Yeah.
it's getting an interview, doing my 3 calls after this. I've got a keynote coming up where I'm speaking to 1,000 people. I love
Wow.
it. I love doing stuff like this. I mean, I live for the moment, and it's really, it's been it the passion that I have for this industry, the passion I have for consulting and speaking, is something that keeps me going. The day when I lose that passion, it's the day when I'm going to struggle. When I'm going to struggle to do all this work. Because if you lose your passion, it's hard, right? It's hard to motivate yourself to be productive and to do well.
Yes, and that's the one thing that I realized, that even though it's common for people to say, we are in a pandemic situation, COVID-19, but I see, as much as there are a lot of issues and challenges, I see
Sure.
so much enthusiasm within a lot of entrepreneurs, and the one key similarity is passion in what they do. The belief
Yeah,
is there.
it is. I mean, I just got off a phone, interestingly enough, just before this conversation. So I spoke to one of my clients. So if I'm not sure if the viewers notice, I've got 2 businesses. Business
Okay.
number 1 is the Brand Theater, which is a consulting business. And I
Yes.
go in and I work with organizations in Singapore, SMEs, and organizations around the world from a brand perspective. And I
Mm-hmm.
have another business which is called Global Brand Academy, which is my speaking and training business.
Okay.
So I have 2 hats, right? So I wear 2 hats, and it's a perfect complement, because sometimes I start with the speaking, and from the speaking they go, we want more. We don't just want this keynote. We want you to come in and do a full-blown consulting. Or sometimes I do consulting, they go, we love what you implemented, but we need regular training to continue what you've implemented. So I wear 2 hats. Now, the reason why I mentioned both of this is because I had a client today that was a consulting client. And this client was in the retail business. So he has 3 retail shops that are located in Orchard Road. Now, what's
Okay.
happened to Orchard Road? What's happened? It's a complete shutdown.
Yes.
So this guy, he's selling an expensive product. So he's in the let's put him in the beauty category. So he's selling like cosmetic jewelry and stuff. He's got 3 shops. All 3 shops are now closed. So for the past 3 months, he's not seen any revenue coming in. Now, when you're on the phone, you would think that this CEO is going to be crying his eyes out. But guess what he's doing with me? He is telling me, Jerome, I am suffering. I get it, but I love what I do. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to think 3, 4 steps ahead. What can I do? What can I do to go 3, 4 steps ahead? And one of the things that he said to me that really struck a chord with me, he goes, I wake up every day thinking about tomorrow. I wake up every day thinking about tomorrow. And I love that, because he wakes up saying, how can I get better? How can I improve? How can I be successful? I know today is challenging, but I have a vision for tomorrow. And if I work hard, if I put all my energy into that direction, it's going to be amazing for my business, my brand. And the reality is, this guy is going to suffer for the next few months at least. Yes, there's no tourists. His business is dependent on tourists. People are not going to go out in masses and in throngs. So 2020 is a write-off for him. But I love the fact that he's thinking 3-4 steps ahead. And that's what I encourage business owners to do, right? This is tough. It's tough for me too. And later on, you can ask me the question about how tough it's been. But you need to wake up with this mindset that there is a tomorrow. Are you ready for that tomorrow? And that's key.
Yes, and in fact, later on, we will be going into the areas of like what you just said. Instead of just brooding over what's situation now, it's all about what can I do for tomorrow. Future-proof your business. Take this time to realign and to start planting your seeds for what you expect to get. In time to come. I think that's the key. And so before we go on there, Jerome, maybe about when did you start Brand Theatre and what are your current services? You were saying that you had two parts of it.
Sure. So I started my journey. Actually, my first job was in 1994 in Australia. So I was working in Australia. I was studying and working at the same time in a design company, a design consulting firm. And then I worked in a PR consulting firm. And when I came back to Singapore, I essentially joined a business, a branding agency back then. And a few years into the business, I ended up buying them over.
Wow. Okay.
And rebranding the business to the Brand Theatre. Now, historically, the business was started in 1997, but I bought over the business in 2005. So 2005 is when I bought over the business. And we rebranded to the Brand Theatre because I had a very simple vision. The vision was, the Brand Theatre. Why is it called the Brand Theatre? It's because I saw that the brands, I imagine a stage, right? And you can see this is actually, it's like a stage. And I'm an audience member. And I'm looking at a brand performing on that stage. What you say, what you do leaves the audience with that experience of wanting to do business with you or giving you this, wow, what a great performance. So the better the brands are able to perform, the better the experience, the more customers keep coming back. And that was why, we called it the Brand Theatre. So I was doing this and I was a full-time consultant. In 2005, I attended a conference. And this conference is called the Global Speaking Summit.
Okay.
And it was organized by a good buddy of mine who's a mentor, Scott Friedman, who said, Jerome, can you come and help out with this summit and be part of it? So I went and I helped out and I attended, and this blew my mind because I started to see professional speakers, world-class professional speakers that flew in for this conference speaking. And so I asked myself the question, I'm a great consultant. I love branding, but should I do more? Should I now extend my business? And because I think I'm a good speaker. And at the time, I think I'm able to engage with people because I was doing presentations, I was doing strategy sessions. And I said, could I now translate my expertise in consulting into a speaking platform, into a training platform? And so I wrote my first book in 2005 called The Brand Theatre after my company. Yeah. And the next thing I know, that was like a boom trigger because in 2005, there were not many Asians in Singapore with a book to their name.
Okay.
And at that point of time, people go, hey, can we have you? Can we have you? Can we have you? And so I suddenly saw this huge spike in business from a speaking and training perspective. For organizations said, can you come in, help my people understand branding, help them deliver this experience to our customers, help them really, really get this strategic mindset. And that created my journey. So I had Brand Theatre, and then we created Global Brand Academy as two separate businesses because really it's two different audiences that we're looking for, complementary but different. So that's been my journey. And it's 8 books later, 34 countries now. This year, by the way, I was supposed to be I had 3 new countries that I was going to be part of. Unfortunately, it didn't happen with the COVID. But up to now, 34 countries that I've been to, more than 1,000 brands that we worked with, in Singapore and around the world. So it's been an amazing journey. impacting and transforming brands. And that's kind of my purpose, right? To create brands, to transform brands.
Yeah, and what's interesting is what inspired you to be what you are today. I mean, you are a brand expert, the brand guy. But why brand? I mean, we always looked at brand, or even for myself, I looked at brand is an essential thing. But what made you want to specifically focus on brand and
Sure.
brand yourself as what you are?
There were three reasons for it. The first reason was, as a kid, I used to love Disney. So Disney was I was fascinated, right, with Disney. And generally, I mean, I'm the kind of guy that sits down, and when I watch a TV program, I can't wait for the advertisements to come on.
Okay.
Because an advertisement is how a brand shares the message to the world. And I used to analyze at a young age the kind of advertisements that came out. So I go to my mom and dad, I go, they didn't do a good job, Dad. They should have done this, they should have done that. At 14 years old, I mean, I already had this interest. And of course, Disney was a brand that I loved. And I used to read books about Disney, and as much as I could, watch everything around Disney. So already at the young age, I had this eagerness to learn about brands. And so when I did my degree and my master's, my focal point was, of course, brands. So it was strategic communication, and I also deep dive a lot into brand and brand theory. In the 1990s, this was very underplayed. This really was underplayed. And but I saw a gap in the marketplace, right? So I saw a gap. The third thing that got me triggered was my agency that I bought over. They were through the line agency, meaning that they focused on tactics. So they said, okay, let's do a product launch. Let's do a ad campaign. Let's do a corporate video. So they're very tactical. And I always say, let's stop. Before you go out there and do all these things, shouldn't there be an overarching strategy? Shouldn't there be something that guides action? Because we're not thinking, we're doing. And that was one of the things that led me to the transformation of my own business. When I acquired it, was how do I move from just communication to thinking, strategy, and then when you get that right, then go into execution. So that's how it all happened.
Right. And Jerome, right now at this current point of time, we're talking about your clients and your customers. Is it do you actually work only with businesses and their brands, or you actually also work with individuals?
I do. So the brand theater focuses a lot on of course consulting clients. So you have to be an organization to be a client of mine in this case. But in Global Brand Academy, we have a personal brand coaching program. So in this program, as of now, I think we have about 15. I don't do a lot of clients. I'm a little bit picky of who I coach and who I work with. But we have 15 clients, and the 15 clients it's a mixture. Some of them are startup companies. So it's one-man show, and they've gone. So for example, like a speaker, professional speaker type. Then I also have executives. So I've got 3 leaders who want to build their personal brand inside that organization. So I've got entrepreneurs and I've got leaders. I've got a lot of financial. I've got 4 financial planners in my stable. So 4 financial planners who say, look, we are self-employed in many ways. I mean, we may be part of an organization, but we're self-employed. How do I build a strong personal brand to be more successful in the marketplace? So we do a range of these 15 clients. I work with them on building a brand, and very successful. Now I don't disclose their names because there's one rule is we don't disclose who we work with, right? To protect. But I mean, the things that they are doing in the marketplace is amazing. It's amazing.
Yep, and it's true. Especially in most of the people think that brands is. I mean, most of the time you look for a professional in terms of yourself for branding when it's only businesses and so on. Which is true. Like for myself, I do agree that brand starts from individual. It's even individuals or sole proprietors. If you're running your own business, I think that what's more important is people deal with you not just because of just your knowledge, but also many other things, right? Sure. And how do you get this information out there? And I think these are the key things that a lot of, I guess, viewers out there will definitely be interested to know more. So if you have any questions, guys, please do feel free to engage Jerome as we move on. Jerome, before we move on, another question. You were working for the company after your studies, and what actually made you want to take on entrepreneurship journey? Normally the stigma is, hey, entrepreneurship, it's all about uncertainty. There's a level of risk there. So what made you want to be an entrepreneur?
There are a few reasons. I mean, one I have to say, my dad was a big inspiration. So my dad has always been an entrepreneur. He's worked for people, but he's at his best when he's doing his own thing. And I really enjoyed watching him over the years, in his entrepreneurship journey. He made a lot of mistakes. And I used to tell myself, you know what, my dad made those mistakes, but I'm not going to make those mistakes. And so that was a big learning curve for me in terms of watching my dad and understanding what he went through and following in his footsteps, right, as being an entrepreneur. So that's one. The second thing is I don't play well to rules and regulations.
All right, nice.
And it's not like I'm a criminal running around breaking rules, but I like my freedom. And the big part of, and I've worked for people, and I understand that when you work for someone, you are guided by culture, by guidelines that you have to adhere to. And I decided that I wanted to set my own rules. I wanted my own freedom in how I did things, the way I wanted to do it. And if you ask me now to go back and work for someone, I don't think I can. I've been headhunted multiple times, by the way. Really good offers, really good jobs, and very tempting opportunities. But I always pause and I go, what am I giving up? I love my life, right? I love my lifestyle, and I like the balance, and entrepreneurship gives you that.
I love your point. I can really resonate with you. I was actually an ex-army officer, 10 to 11 years. And of course, stability was there. But if I always have this conversation with my girls. They ask me, if you have a choice of going back to the military, if they call you back and give you, whatever you deserve at this point of time. I mean, kids, they always tend to, reality is never a case for them. It's always about imagination. Then it started making me think that the only thing that made me excited about what I'm doing now is, I'm in control. It's like you'll be surprised, though I am a military officer, when it comes to not about discipline, but when it comes to following rules and just saying yes, sir, doesn't work with me. So yes, I can definitely resonate with that excitement of taking control of your life. And I believe
control is important for me. I mean, I will probably survive in an organization. I will survive, but will I be as passionate as I am now? Probably not. I mean, we are part of the Singapore system, right? So discipline is ingrained in us.
Yes.
You probably have a lot more experience there than I've done. I mean, I just did 2.5 years, and I study hard, I work hard. I probably put in more hours as an entrepreneur than I would even working for a job for someone else. So I'm working twice as hard. But I'm in control. You're right, and I'm passionate, right? It's my vision that I'm looking at. I'm going, hey, this is a great vision that I have. I believe in it. I want to make it happen. Boom, and it's in my hands. So I actually ended up working a lot harder. But if you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it boils down to passion and what you enjoy doing day in, day out. In fact, recently when I had a chat again with a lot of my clients and so on, I realized that I'm much more busy at home than I was in the office, or when I was traveling around, because during travel time you still have the 30 minutes to listen to audio, CDs and so on. But at home, you're always thinking about what to do next. And I realized that sometimes I'm so busy, I get things done, but it's the passion that gives us the energy to go on and on, because it's no more about time. It's all about the activities you want to achieve, the things that you're going to put in place, and so on. Yeah. And so what is branding? This is the question that a very common, I would say, is a very common thing. Everybody knows what's brand, or I know that's something called brand. But what is branding actually, and why is it important for individuals and businesses, Jerome?
So maybe I should. It's a joke that we always when we do consulting, right, is to tell clients what is branding is not. Branding is not your logo.
Okay.
Every time I go in, And and I meet, not every time. I mean, we meet, sometimes we meet clients and they go, Jerome, I need branding. I go, okay, we want a nice logo. Give me a nice logo. And they think that's branding. That's not branding. Now, the logo is an element of your overall brand. But what's branding? Branding is everything you say or do as an organization. It's your culture, it's your people, it's your way of life, it's all your touch points. So imagine this ecosystem, right, of your employees, your leaders, your office setting, your website, your channels, and you bring all of this together. And if you bring all of this together and you wrap it around with this powerful strategy, that's branding. That's what branding is all about. And organizations that come to me and say, I just need a nice logo, that's not branding. And I want you to, whoever's listening to this, remember this. Of course, it doesn't mean you ignore having a great logo, of course. But remember this, right? I tell this to people. What's Nike? What's their logo?
Yeah, it's a thick.
It's thick. It's like a little thick. What's Adidas?
Adidas. It looks like a tree stripe.
Tree line.
Yeah.
Basically, the designer has taken three lines. He's taken three lines and he just tilted it. And you go, boom, Adidas. And then when people come up to me, goes, I want a nice logo. I go, it's not the logo. It's about this ecosystem. So branding is really about creating an ecosystem consistently where every touch point is connected. So if I'm an employee, I deliver the experience, a little brand experience, the collaterals that I have, my social channels, my website, my office setup, everything reflects the brand. And the best brands in the world do this consistently. They have a lot of clarity. They are able to connect emotionally with their target audience. If I step into for example, if I get to a Nike, what I know Nike, it's not the logo, but it's how Nike makes me feel about the brand. So that's branding. And if you do that and you replicate that from an organizational perspective, and you replicate that to an individual, it's the same thing. So as an individual, from a personal brand perspective, what I say, what I do, what I post on social channels, what if someone encounters me at a networking event? What if someone encounters me while I'm playing football in the park?
Yeah.
Am I showing my brand? Am I delivering my brand consistently? Yeah. And the best brands, the best individual brands are the ones that have strategized and they've got all these touch points that they've created where they have a clear position, a clear message. And that's branding. If you do it well, I guarantee you, people will remember you. People will want to do business with you. You will stand out. It's a guarantee. And that's the power of branding.
And this is where, Jerome, you talk about this thing called consistency. Of course, the first thing is to be clear of what you want. There's definitely a process, a lot of thought process put in before, like what do you say? Don't start thinking about, whether it's individuals or businesses, don't straight away talk about the logos and all those stuff. But it is supposed to be a proper process where what do you want to be seen as? It should be a process that should be done. And I think the other key is consistency, right? I'm now talking more of individuals, interestingly, because I've seen a lot of people who decided that I want to brand myself. I want to be out in social media, which we'll be going later to talk about that. But a lot of them actually lack the consistency or the ability to sustain, to sustain through what they plan to. So I guess this is something definitely important for your branding to be out there.
It is. I mean, if you look, as you said, consistency. If I like this, for example, if I maybe do a post on social media, I met one of the guys that we're talking to in terms of consulting with him. He came up to me, goes, Jerome, I worked very hard on my brand. I go, what do you do? Well, I do a post every day on my Facebook.
Okay.
And he goes, and he thinks that's branding. And I go, look, it's great that you're doing that, but that's not branding. Let's sit down and let's look at, number one, what do you stand for? What is the message that you're trying to tell the world? What is the proof into people wanting to do business with you? What are your proof points?
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, I've got 20 years of work experience. I said, have you even talked about that in your post? Has it been seen in anything of the things that you share? No. So get your strategy right first. Find out who you are, what you stand for, how you want to be seen in the eyes of your target market. And then you then strategize how you intend to communicate that effectively across your key channels.
Yeah.
Now, in
And
this day and age, it is absolutely crucial that you build a brand that is versatile both online and offline. It's crucial, and as an individual, it's a must today.
And interestingly, Jerome, one of the key thing is people like, let's talk about digitalization. The buzzwords, a new normal. People always try to keep up to this. We're talking about. I mean, we heard about, or we started hearing about digital transformation way before, and then today they're talking about digital grid. You have to go out there, you have to be digitalized and so on. So a lot of people decided, I need to go out there, be visible. So they decided to use social media and many other digital platforms. But what I noticed, correct me if I'm wrong, you are the expert and I can, just state my opinion. But I feel a lot of business owners decide that, I want to just go onto these platforms because I want to do branding without long-term or proper thought process and long-term plan of, like campaigns, for example. What is it I want to, what's the message I want to put across to my customers, clients, and out there? What would I like to do and how can I do it? And that is where the platforms comes in. So it shouldn't be a case where whatever platforms you want to use, whether it's websites, social media posts in LinkedIn and so on, there should be a specific purpose on how do you want to articulate the message.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because many a times, right, people tend to be very tactical, or they go into this, I need to do. So I do, but they don't think. So it's very important that before you do, you think. You spend time understanding who you are. You spend time understanding the kind of message that you want people to hear about you. Now, branding is about perception. And the best brands in the world control that perception. That means, for example, I want people to think. So if they see a Jerome Joseph, the kind of perception that I want to leave them with is, hey, this guy is the brand guy. This guy knows branding. I should talk to Jerome when I have a branding problem. And that comes from me deliberately putting that message out there. That's why you reached out to me.
Yeah.
Because of the kind of message that I put out. And every channel, you will see me build that perception. So likewise, for an individual, what is the thing that you are saying that you want people to perceive you for? If you're a financial planner, for example, then you need to be the financial planner of choice. What's the kind of messages that you're putting to show people? So it could be, for example, strategically saying, hey, these are the clients who have picked me. Hey, this is the kind of awards that I won. Hey, this is the kind of years of experience I've had in the industry. So it's very strategic. So everything that you do, just don't go and do it. Think about think about your plan. Think about who you are, what you want to be positioned. Then go and execute this in your selected channels. And I use the word selected because you don't have to do everything. People think that they need to be everywhere, and they lack the bandwidth to do that or the know-how. Pick and choose your platforms. I'll give you an example. I don't have a strong platform on TikTok. I'm not even on TikTok. Everyone's talking TikTok. I'm not on Snapchat. I don't use it. I probably have a mediocre presence on Instagram. I'm there, but it's mediocre for me. But I am very strong on my Facebook and on my LinkedIn. That's a great platform for me, and I use that strategically. I'm with my YouTube channel, for example. I target B2B. I don't do B2C. I'm targeting B2B, and I do that through AdWords and Google campaigns. So everything that I'm doing is very strategic. So that's what I want you to think about when it comes to branding. Branding is really an exercise in strategy. And if you go out there and you start executing, it's like taking a shotgun, right? And you're like, boom, shooting randomly and hoping someone, you hit something. Maybe that's a wrong metaphor, but I was thinking more in my head. I was thinking of a hunter shooting ducks, and this hunter is like going, oh, look at all the ducks, and he doesn't aim at anything. he just randomly, boom, fires it and hoping that and you're right, sometimes it will hit. It will, if you're lucky, maybe you get a viral post and it hits. But in many cases, in most people, the bullets go flying, it misses all your ducks. And then you go, how come I've got no food?
Yeah. And that could be something that could discourage you from even moving on to the next level. And one thing that you actually, because I've seen, I've been following you on social media platforms, Jerome, and I knew that, you were very strong in your Facebook, LinkedIn, and you were embarking. I could see your journey towards YouTube videos. You were doing YouTube and everything. And I could see, and whenever I observed, I realized that you had a very clear thought process when you were having your message out. Every time, because I believe that, you want to learn something, you want to learn Kung Fu, go to a Kung Fu master. If you want to learn, you don't go to a guy, and ask him for something that is, not that you can't learn from people's experiences and everything, but where I'm coming from is, go out there and talk to the right people. If you can't talk, then the key is observe, observe. And I noticed that whatever you have said, you have always walked the talk. I can vouch for that. And I'm sure a lot of your followers and clients will do that. But I just want to put it in the platform that, yes, I've noticed that you have always articulated your message. And what I will try to do is, whenever I read your post, I will look back to think, what are you trying to put across? There is a message, a subtle message. It doesn't have to be, for example, I am a global speaker, but it's the message that you put across. And I think that's an art. I look at it as strategy, but along the way, it becomes an art. It becomes a norm where you know how to play this game. And I guess this comes with a lot of awareness and practice, Jerome.
It does. And also, it's a thinking. Anyone can do it. Put on your thinking cap, right? Sit down and look at your channels. Ask yourself this question: which is my strongest channel currently? Now, I see Sasi just dropped a question around the platforms, isn't it?
Yes. So I was just about to show you. Thank you, Sasi, for joining us. We have a lot
That's a cool haircut, Sasi, by the way.
Say again?
What a cool haircut, Sasi.
Yeah. Sasi is he has his brand by himself. The last time when I met him, it's like, both of us with a beard and everything. And then whenever I look at him, there's something unique about him that can remind me that, hey, this is Sasi. It's always unique about him. Anyway, Thanks, Sasi, for joining us. And all right, Sasi has this question, what or which are the current platforms that you feel are most effective in this current period?
I'm gonna be very honest with you on this. I'm going to use the word depends on your audience. Depends on your strategy. Depends on who you are trying to reach. So for example, let me give you maybe an example from this. Financial planner. Sasi, could you just type what's your job? What are you doing? If you're here, Sasi, tell us what is it that you're doing, right? Maybe I can answer from your perspective. If you answer the next few seconds.
If it doesn't answer, I will be able to tell you.
Maybe give me a job function of entrepreneur.
So Sasi is basically an entrepreneur. He runs the Knockout Gym. It's actually a gym by itself where they have a different concept. He looks for people who come there in 30 minutes workout, short, sharp.
Okay.
I got it there. I run a fitness business. Thanks, Sasi.
So I heard of this business. Isn't it the one that they punch the bag in 30 minutes? They're kind of like a punching bag thing, right, Sasi? Knockout, is that the one?
Yeah.
Where they punch the bag. Good.
So
now with Sasi, it's very clear, right? His market is B2C. It's very clear. Like my market is B2B. I'm not as interested in the B2C market as I would be. Why? For me, as a consultant and speaker, I'm looking for SMEs for my consulting business, and for my speaking business, I'm looking for who? L&D, HR. So that's my targets. Now, in Sasi's case, he now runs a fitness business, and his target is definitely B2C. Of all the platforms that you can use, I would highly recommend for your type of business to be looking at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Without a doubt, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And these three platforms, for me, will give you your best potential based on what I know about your business. However, this comes the what do you call it, the time versus money spent, right? Because sometimes people may not be able to focus on all three platforms. So you need to now be very strategic on how I can utilize the three platforms cleverly. So first question to answer is Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Put in a lot of effort in building this for you, right? Put in a lot of effort. Next, I'm going to recommend that you invest a lot in Facebook ads.
Facebook ads, right?
Facebook ads, I'm going to encourage you to play, because among all the things to play with, Facebook ads, and of course you can link it to Instagram ads, is the easiest to do. For that, you need a page. You need a professional page for that to happen, which I'm sure you have as a company page. The ads will give you the reach. So then I would do this. I would go and I would segment and I would target audiences that fit into my profile. So I'm assuming if it's fitness, you're looking at maybe 18 to 45. You may have and then you may have two different messages. You may have a message that's catered to the millennials, for example, and messages that cater to someone older like me, late 40s, who may want to come in for a quick 30-minute. I'm a busy professional. So that's many ads, many types of ads that you can do. That's your reach, because Facebook has the best reach today to your target audience. Instagram would be another amazing platform that you can use. In the fitness business, I always talk about social proof. And I consulted many years back with a fitness business. There are two things that I told him to do very often. Number one is keep showing proof. Show proof that what you are running, your fitness program, is effective. Number two, because what you're doing is a whole punching, knockout thing, the bags and everything, videos, the YouTube channel will be a great platform for you, for people who want to find out about your business. Now, why YouTube is important? If I were to Google your gym, on page 1, if you have videos, it will appear on my page 1 from a search engine perspective. So videos are important and gives you the experience. So I hope that answers the question.
All right. Thank you, Jerome. And Sasi, if that answers your question, you can always give us a thumbs up, or you can always say you never walk alone, whichever that works well for you. All right. And thanks. Thank you so much, Jerome. I think it's definitely something that I believe is important, to be able to identify your target audience, and from there, where do you find them, and how do you reach out to them. So I think, in fact, we were going to that, and thanks to Sasi, we already came to that point. Now we have another question. Suren is actually, oh yes, Sasi. All right, thank you, Sasi, and thank you, Jerome, from Sasi. All right, we have a question from Jerome. So it's a bit long, so I might block half of your face. Now, thank you, Suren. Once again, he's my secondary school friend. It's a long time since, I'm hearing from him. Thanks, Suren. And how does the power of branding work in different climates, i.e., pre-COVID and current situation? Can you provide an example of a client you have worked with who is facing this current reality and has reached out for your advice?
Okay, so let me give you, there's a few parts, there's a few moving parts to this question, Suren. And I'm going to start by, let's talk about the COVID situation. Now, I put the COVID situation into three phases. Now, what are those three phases? The first phase is what you call the education phase. Now, in the education phase, when this happened to me, for example, in February, when I heard rumors about COVID, but I really came to understand COVID only in February. And it happened when I was booked to speak around the world, and all my speaking engagements all got canceled. Everything got canceled. I'm like, what's going on? And during that time, you see how brands adapted. What brands started to do was to kind of go hashtag social distancing, hashtag, right, stay at home. You notice brands started using that situation and during that phase to educate customers about what's going on. And then from that phase, it moved into what I call the united phase. And the united phase is the phase where people kind of came together. We got this. Let's fight this together. We can do this. We all should stay at home and let's all sing songs on the same time. And from that phase, we are now moving into the new norm phase. Now, it's a word that you've probably been hearing a lot of. It's the new norm. So from a business standpoint, an organization, typically SMEs that I've encountered go through this journey. When they first hear about the COVID, everyone's panicking. So you have this huge sense of fear. What's going to happen to my business? What's going on? What am I going to do? Am I in trouble? And then there's this like resignation, like, okay, all right, you know what? We have to go on. And they've gone on to the united phase where they go, okay, you know what? We just have to follow the rules. It's for everyone's safety. But now what I've started to see is brands are starting to realize that as we are transitioning into the new norm, they have started to realize that how can I adapt and how can I evolve? And that for me is the crucial aspect of any branding campaign today. Because the new norm is going to determine your next steps. Now, let me give you an example. I had a client who is in the, and again, sorry, Surin, I cannot mention names because of non-disclosure, but they're a client in the restaurant business. So of course, when the boss, when he first found out this happened, he goes, "Oh my God, I'm in trouble. I'm screwed. Pardon my French." And then he goes, "Okay, let's see what we can do." And then we went and spoke to him and we advised him. So this is what we got him to do. The first thing that we got him to do was to bring his face-to-face business to an online business. Now, of course, we all know that's a given. If you're in the food business today, you have to get online, no choice, right? Because no one can come to you. So he did that, and he did it fast, using government funds, and he went there fast. But then came the next part, and I told him, I said, you know what? When everybody is going right, you need to start thinking of how you can go left. Because what's happened is it's now become a saturated online marketplace. And the advice that I gave him was, let's talk about your food products. Is there a way that you can adapt and evolve it? And that's what he did. He adapted and evolved by taking one of his secret sauces and building a packaging around it. And now because guess what's happened, right? There's a trend that's happening. People are becoming home chefs.
Yeah.
I'm cooking at home. Are you cooking at home?
I do. And I'm
Yeah,
sure Surin is.
So people are started. So this is a trend that's happening, right? So in the new norm, what's happening is people are starting to learn how to want to cook more. It's a trend. You can Google it. I've learned to bake. I've just cooked my first Thai fish red curry. So I've learned to cook, and my wife, who doesn't normally cook, also starts to cook. So now this guy is saying there's an opportunity for me in the new norm. He's created a packet where people can buy and cook his dish. And he's extended there. So what am I trying to tell you, Suren, is this, right? In the new norm, in this climate, right, in this COVID situation, being able to adapt and evolve is very crucial, number one. And number two, it needs to be driven by what you are seeing happening around you in the markets in which you're doing business. You have to see what's happening to you. And I can't figure it out for you without knowing your business, but you need to think about how, if you can't go to the horse, how do you bring the horse to you? So think about ways or trends that you can use to help you innovate and adapt your business. Now, of course, pre-COVID, things were all great, right? So from a brand perspective, there wasn't this new norm. Look, you didn't have a demand to come here and do Facebook Live. I've known about Facebook Live for years. I've done it like 5 times. I didn't see a need to do it. But you are doing it. Why? You're doing it because back then, it wasn't needed for you to grow your business. You're doing it now because most people are online. So you have adapted, you have evolved. So my point is, in this new norm, in this new normal, please look at what's around you. Be very open to ideas. And go in with the mindset, right? So I tell people this, right? There's what you call the growth mindset and the I give up mindset.
Yeah.
The new norm requires you to have this growth mindset. You have to look. I'm speaking down here, and I've suffered just like many other people here. In December last year, I was booked from March, April, May, June, July for speaking and training programs across across the world. In February, everything got cancelled. Everything got cancelled. But I have a consulting business which actually saw an increase in business because people started to realize. So our communication messages had to change. So I communicated different things. I started talking a lot more about the grants because I work with organizations getting grants for them. And I started talking about the grants. Now, my speaking and training business also had to evolve. So I invested in great new products, great new stuff. If you ever see me do a keynote, and I hope you can because I'm doing a few, I've got all the gadgets and all the devices. I'm doing all this fancy stuff because I have to evolve my speaking business in a new norm. I've just got booked for 3 virtual conferences that are happening in Europe and in US. And these are conferences with probably about 6,000 people. So I hope that answers the question, Surain, and this helps you kind of start thinking. Without, of course, there's many factors in play, and by the way, right, there will be businesses that will close down. We can't run away from it. Not everyone is going to be rosy dory. Hey, it's not going to be the case. There will be businesses that are going to suffer. But I want you, whoever's listening to this, is to go in with this growth mindset, to tell yourself, guess what? Even if all the odds are stacked against me, I am going to fight for my brand. And if you have that mindset, I truly believe there is a higher chance of success.
Yeah. And Jerome, interestingly, I was actually called up to do a couple of seminars. And if you look at my Facebook post, I've been actually talking about game changer mindset, which is a level above growth mindset, where, you look at, like what you say, the fix and the growth, where this is the time you got to be a game changer. You got to be doing things different from, the way it's done traditionally. You got to think out of the box. Like I've seen your photos on social media about how you set up, your setup of your green screen, and when you were preparing for your first virtual keynote, So, I mean, this is how I was just sharing that I just received with Jerome earlier before we started. I just received my Yeti mic, and it's exactly. And I remember that my first chat was actually with a Samsung earpiece. And I when I listened to myself after, I realized, whenever I started it, the sound was like, wow, can I be better? So I guess it's always about adapting and to improve and looking into ways on ideas of innovative ideas to be able to, go past this situation itself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thanks. And we actually skipped one question or one area that I wanted to specifically ask you. Maybe I'll just round it up. Now, we were talking about, I think Surain's question and Sasi's questions have already answered quite a fair bit of those areas. But I just wanted to talk about, branding tips. I've heard your tips, on differentiating brands, So in fact, for those of you who want to know a lot of tips, trust me, just go to Jerome's Facebook page
or
YouTube channel, and he has loads of videos he's been having. And I think some of these questions that I'm asking, in fact, the key thing is I came up with these questions because I saw his videos and I was like, wow, he's answering those things. So going to this, what are the branding tips, Jerome, that you have, for individuals to develop a strong and iconic brand, whether it's businesses or individuals?
Well, I have a whole book on it, by the way. So if you Google the brand playbook, I've written 88 tips that you can use. 88 tips that you can use to build a strong and iconic brand in your marketplace. So there's plenty of ways, but let me tell you what are the common ones that I've started to talk to to business owners. The first thing that I've also started to them say is, please have a plan. That's it. That's for me is probably one of the most important things. Don't just go out and go boom, 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 boom. Have a brand plan in place. So that's my first tip, right? Clear brand plan. Plan which defines who you are, what you stand for, what kind of positioning, what kind of perception that you want to create, and looking at the different channels that you want to target. So that's the first tip. You need to do that. The second tip that I want you to start thinking about is, how do I look at my audience and look at the changing needs? People are going to play differently today in this marketplace. How are things changing, and how can you adapt or evolve based on those needs. So that's the second tip. The third thing I want you to start thinking about is really invest in building a clear ecosystem of your touch points. So now what do I mean by a touch point? A touch point is an interaction that someone has with your brand. The touch point could be your website, could be your social page, it could be your employee that works for you, it could be you. So all these are different touch points, and ensure that you strategically, the touch point gets the brand messaging out clearly and consistently. And the final tip is this, and it's a video that you mentioned, it's this thing called proof points. Today, people buy brands they trust. People buy brands they trust. The more they can trust you, the more they want to do business with you. Now, the reason why this year has been, a good year, not a great year, but I'm surviving and I'm doing generally better than I thought I was going to be, is because people have come to me because they trust my brand. How do you build trust? Proof points, testimonials. And I watch my video on Facebook, on YouTube, and you'll see proof points or a social proof is important for people to say, hey, I want to do business with Jerome. Hey, I want to do business with Serene because I trust them and I know that they can deliver for me. And you got to spend a lot of time building that.
Yeah. And
I've got one last tip, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
It just occurred to me, right? Because it's a tip that I was going to do a video actually today on this tip. And it was, when you are doing all these things, right, especially for individuals, and this is addressed to individuals, show the real you, show the authentic you. There are many people who fake it. When you come to my post, right, come to my social media page, I show my real side. It's not all work. One of the things that really matter to me is, for example, is racism. And you realize I stand up and I talk about it. It's one of my causes that I support. I talk about my kid, my daughter. And that's an important part of my brand. So when you are doing this, show people an authentic side to you. It's not all work. Today, brands want to, today consumers or customers want to see a real, authentic person that's talking. Yeah. And also being real comes from the idea of believing in your own message. So if you believe in your own message, people will know it. If you see me speak, you will know I believe 100% in my message. And whoever's watching here, you will know I believe 100% in what I'm saying.
I think, Jerome, this is where it is more important now that we are talking about being the real you, where having a clear plan on your purpose, your belief on why and what you want to brand. So that when you are doing your day-to-day, it becomes a normal thing. This is the real you, you don't have to put up some kind of a picture, or you don't need to, because it's just you. So I guess this is where, it connects. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's, personally, that's what I love to run. I'm just using this as an example. Yeah. I love to run, and I feel that, rather than waiting for things to happen, we can always keep fit, find reasons and ways. And it becomes a case that when that's my purpose, that people can embark onto simple exercises and simple ways to keep healthy. And I do that every day. I feel that, I can have a lot of posts to tell people, hey, I'm running 10 kilometers and so on.
And I would, if I was in your shoes, if I was being strategic for you, I would say I would link running to Bettery. That's what I would do. I would link it. Because again, when you post something personal, which is your running, your love for running, you can link it back to what you're doing, which is I'm running because I want to, running is like a battery, right? You need to have boom, you need to go. It's like you need to keep going. And the more you run, the better you become. So you could take that message that you have, that passion that you have for running, and bring it into this. So it's again, a lot of the stuff that I do is very strategic, and if I can find ways to plant seeds about my values. So for me, it's about my brand values. I want people to see that. So if you come to my channels, you will see that aspect of my brand.
All right. And Jerome, we always have the good sides of the pictures, and I am a strong believer that failures are the best teachers. So is there any specific failure that, spurred you to say that, that's it, and I'm going to go to the next level? Any specific experience that you have when you want to share?
When I first started speaking was in 2005. So I've been a consultant, and consulting is something I've been doing for a long time, but speaking was 2005. And I remember getting on my first big stage. It was about 300 people, and I was speaking. And I finished speaking, and I realized that people were just doing they were clapping out of politely. And I realized that when I got off the stage that I had done a really bad job. And in that audience, I had a teacher, my mentor. And I said, what did I do wrong? And this person said, you did not speak from a place of authenticity. You did not speak from a place of emotion. It was so, every word was rehearsed. So there was no emotional connection to what your words were. And it wasn't you. You were trying to be somebody else. And I failed in that keynote. And I failed in the second and the third keynote. And then I got it. And then I got it that when you get on the stage, when I'm doing a performance, I have to represent my brand. My voice is my voice. It's not Gary Vee's voice. It's not, it's not Obama voice. It's Jerome Joseph's voice. And I think that was my biggest learning from my failure on stage in my first ever gig. And I learned a lot from that. And it goes back to my point, right? Be you. Be the best version of you. But
I guess it's these failures and the lessons that, it will be so strongly imprinted into us that the learning lessons are much stronger, especially when you go through that phase of, feeling lousy after a failure. It's like, why, and when you decided and you are aware of what is the actual mistake that you did, you realize that, it becomes a second nature that you always remember that for the rest of your life or every step that you go on. And that's interesting. Why do I like to ask this question? A few reasons. I just wanted to tell the rest of the viewers as well. Now, when I went for Ranger course, I failed the first selection. And when I came back, people told me, Sakti, it's not a cup of tea. I went for the second selection. I failed, marginally. And people laughed at me and say, I told you it's not up to you. And, it was like, I was embarrassed, humiliated. I felt bad. But the only thing they told me is that there must be a reason why I didn't make it. And I knew why it was. So I went again and I got my Ranger and I came back. And today the Ranger tab is mine to keep. But if I had given up at that point of time, I would have deprived. I mean, this is what I tell myself to make me feel good. I would have deprived a very good Ranger for the armed forces at that point of time, for example. So many people out there, if you guys are doing businesses and so on, like what even our previous speakers, including Jerome, is that, don't let failure stop you. Because you will deprive or stop somebody who could be really successful, who could be coming up here just like Jerome himself to share so many things. So I think it's a clear indication that all professionals, all experts have had their share of failures.
And will continue to have.
Yes. So yeah, and that's the thing, I always like to drive this message because, as entrepreneurs, the key is always moving on failure to failure without losing the enthusiasm. And I love that. Right. And Jerome, years to come, what do you want Jerome Joseph? Anyway, congratulations. You are a father, and we were just talking about you are much more busier in the nights doing your gut duties, your responsibilities and everything. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All the more, I'm sure this question will be hitting you even harder, not only the business perspective, but family, So what do you want Jerome Joseph to be remembered for in years to come? Your legacy.
I want to be remembered for two things. Of course, number one is to be remembered as the brand guy, the guy that went in and transformed and created brands. But more importantly, I mean, my bigger vision is I want to be remembered as a good citizen of this planet. Not Singapore, but of planet Earth. We have so much issues, and I'm putting my voice in many of these issues that we have around us, and I'm trying to educate my daughter, and the people that I interact with, that really there is a huge big world, and if I go to my grave, being able to have contributed towards being a better citizen or helping create better citizens in each one of us, that would be a legacy I would love to have.
Wow, it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, I love it. It's both. The cool thing is not about Singapore, but it's global. And that's one thing that I love. Always looking at the big picture. All right. And Jerome, I know that you have a lot of meetings today, 3 meetings. We have shared so much. But any word of advice for entrepreneurs, business owners, and our viewers who are currently engaged in our chat?
Well, I mean, please watch this chat because there's a lot of stuff that I've said. But, I always do this. If you see my posts, I always say this stuff like, let's do this. It's kind of like my hashtag, let's do this. And, or we got this. And that's my it's not going to be advice. It's more my cheer for you. We are in tough times. We cannot run away from it. But you got to believe that you can do this, that you got this. And you got to say it, right? Every day you wake up. I wake up and I say this every day. Let's do this because I got this. Let's do this because I got this. And it's my own personal, motivational morning wake up cheer to myself. And that's my advice, right? Because times will be tough. Unless you own Zoom or StreamYard, you will typically be in a position where you are not going to be as successful as you were in previous years. This is the time where you must be facing forward. What you do today is going to impact your tomorrow. If you give up today, you know what to do. You got this.
Yeah, I like that silence, when you sit, when you give up today, it's like, right. And just something that I would like to share before we end this live chat, something that I thought, I got an expert here. Along the years, what I realized that even for myself, your brand guy, I love the way, there's a certain level of ownership. I'm your brand guy, just not any brand guy, but your brand guy. So when I started off and along the years, I would like to also share the viewers that I realized that I wanted to be known, and I knew that I was always being a game changer. I don't follow rules.
Sure.
I try to, as much as possible, know the guidelines and weave around it, of course, ethically, and keep the law. But, it's about whatever cards you are given, how do I play around the game, being a game changer. And I think this made it more interesting. And that's why when we do these chats and everything, even Jerome and I was talking to you, it's about consistently giving feedback and value to people and to help them to also, change their game. And I think with that, that's the reason why, in fact, today, Jerome, I think it was also a great way, or I think it's maybe a blessing in a way that I had a lot of conversations about branding with a lot of people, a lot of clients, a lot of friends, and so on.
Sure.
And when I called you, you were like ready to be here to answer all these questions. So I think that was really, truly, I'm amazed by the way nature works or the world works, law of attraction. So with that, thank you so much, Jerome, for sharing so many things. And I would like to actually tell all the viewers, and I believe that Jerome will agree with me that, it takes 72 hours before you lose all this information that Jerome has given. Though we have a video here, this live chat will be recorded on YouTube. But the key thing is take action. At least take down one point that Jerome has said, put it down, think about it, and take some kind of action. It doesn't have to be the right one, but at least a thought process, and do something about it and move forward. With that, thank you all our viewers, especially Sasi, Suren, and so many of you guys to join us. And thank you so much once again, Jerome, to be here to inspire us and to share so much of things from your heart. Thank you so much, Jerome. And to all our viewers, our next Bettery Hub channel, we will be actually working on a lot of business profiles and digitalization information for you guys on Thursday. So look out for it. So with that, thank you so much. And this is yours truly, TR Shakti. Good day.